So, Mike Hell, you've been working with me for over 7 years now, and you've contributed a lot to my creativity. We've made some things together that I couldn't possibly have made without you. I'd like to hear from you a little more about what it's been like for you.
It's been an amazing experience, and nothing that my education could have prepared me for. When I met Dr. Kleinman back in 2011, I had just graduated, and prior to that, the projects I was working on was a psychological thriller called Death Prophet, starring me as the character. And I all my life I've enjoyed horror movies, and that's what I created. I brought that with me to California, but like I said, nothing could prepare me for the types of horror movies that I make with Dr. Kleinman. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even interested in documentary film work. I wanted to go and be a movie star, and then write screenplays. And I am so grateful. I am so grateful that I saw Dr. Kleinman's email. It was the third month that I had just fallen behind on my rent. I had alumni status to the Art Institute where I graduated. So I would sometimes walk downtown because I couldn't afford to take the bus, and use their computers, their Mac computers, and work on my cover letter, work on my resume, portfolio, look for any kind of video work that I could find. And I saw Dr. Kleinman's email for for one of the cases that we were working on at the time, but he said he had over 100 hours of videos that he needed to have edited down. So I was like, wow, like the Children's Psychological Health Center, it's a trauma kind of area. I'm into the psycho thriller stuff. So it just seemed like a good match. But like I said, nothing could prepare me for what I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So it said fax your resume. Do not email the resume. Fax it. And I just happened to. I was a student worker at the library, so I had access to a fax machine. I wasn't sure how to use it, but I had someone there to help me, and I faxed Dr. Kleinman my resume, and he got back to me the same night, and then we scheduled the interview, I think the next day. And I was standing on California and Divisadero, or Sacramento and Divisadero rather, and couldn't quite find where I was supposed to go. And Dr. Kleinman was outside, and he was looking for me. I was like, wow. I knew that, I was like, wow, this is gonna work. I just was brought in for a gig, but there was just something about his, it was urgent. It was an urgent matter, and it was the Earl Bradley case, pediatrician in Wilmington, Delaware. And stop me if I can't say too much.
No, you can speak about it.
He had raped over 600 children. As pediatrician in the 90s. And by the way, fun fact, I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware in the 90s when this was going on. Never heard about it until I met Dr. Kleinman. So there were all these things kind of falling into, and I was like, I just made this horror movie that I thought was like, oh man, that's what I want to do. But this work was so much more, because I realized that could have been me. I could have been the victim of this monster because it was so close. So that really spoke to me. And then, man, the children. I did, I think, 6 or 7 videos for that particular case, and it changed me. It changed my artistic energy. Was redirected, and I became very curious because I wasn't aware. I just wasn't. I mean, you know that kids get abused, and but the detail from the victims themselves was just like something. And we have an archive down, that we're. So I don't even remember what the original question was, but basically, it's been a ride ever since then. And not just, it's not all just forensics. I've learned a lot about Dr. Kleinman's reflective network therapy and how he helps traumatize children. Last year, Dr. Kleinman sent me to a Native American reservation, the Tulalip tribe, and that was really special to me because I've seen RNT in action, but from the viewpoint of a computer screen. When he sent me with my camera to actually go and shoot RNT videos, it was like, wow, like, it was because some of the kids that I have on the terabyte, it's like they don't know me. They don't know that I'm doing the video. So when I see them, I'm like, oh, I know who you are. You're so-and-so. I recognize you from I almost know you. Like, so that was special to be on the other side of the screen for once, but to participate with the play session, like the kids are playing and I'm playing as well with the camera. I get to run around and use microphones and set up tripods and fly in his airplane, for crying out loud. The first time. I remember the first time I was in Dr. Kleinman's airplane and he had the headsets on and you can hear everything. I had this realization. I was like, wow, Dr. Kleinman is flying the airplane. He does everything. We do the forensic seminars. I've been on so many adventures. Dr. Kleinman lets me travel through time. And we were talking earlier about the tools we have for time travel. And this camera is one. Music, literature, Dr. Kleinman inspires me to research the monsters that we're exposing. I'm looking into psychology. I'm thinking about going back to school sometimes because I believe in his mission to just basically bring awareness. And I've been doing this for about 7 years now, and I'm at a point where it bothers me that we can't share the videos, not for entertainment purposes, but for educational purposes. And I think that's the difference between the types of horror movies that I wanted to do versus the ones that I'm doing for real. And is that I don't care about entertaining. Like, I want people to know the same things that I know about what happens when you turn your back on children and the repercussions and this cycle. And it's like, man, like in this modern age, like the camera is a weapon of exposure now, and I'm just praying that I can do my best going for. I'm an art student. I'm not a psychology major. None of my career advisors told me, hey, go in and look into medical science. Go talk to a doctor, because this is not. I just feel grateful. I feel like it was a job that was sort of created for me. Oh man. Okay, I gotta tell this story. I went with Dr. Kleinman for a forensic case up in Seattle, or I don't remember where we were going. We were going to either do RNT or do a forensic work, but Dr. Kleinman was, he was hauling ass through the airport, and I was having trouble keeping up with him. I think he's in better shape than I am. And so Dr. Kleinman, I'm trying to keep up with Dr. Kleinman, and they're like, I get so annoyed going to airports sometimes because people just stand around and they don't pay attention to where we're going, to where they're, that people were behind them. You could be in a rush, but we were rushing to catch the shuttle. And, there were a group of, there was a family or something, but this one guy in particular just would not move out of the way. And Dr. Kleinman was, excuse me. And I said, get the fuck out of the way. Jesus, I just went off. to get his attention. It angered me that he wasn't moving fast enough. And it worked. He moved out of the way. But the problem, so later that night at dinner, Dr. Kleinman and I were talking about it. And this actually applies to my martial arts principles too. But he said, I don't want to botch that, but it was a perfect way for me to understand. What that guy was going to remember was not like, I did what I did so that he would be aware. But Dr. Kleinman pointed out that what he's going to remember is the fear, the confrontation, as opposed to, I could have handled it a better way. And I don't remember what you said to me but it was something along those lines about what was taken away from how I reacted to the situation. But it was like stuff like that makes me, I feel like I'm becoming a better person from just being around Dr. Kleinman. And that I just want to say thank you. And
Well, we want to say thank you, Michael. You've been so creative with these very complex professional tasks, and you helped me to remember the connections, like case to case. You've been showing me this is like a cookie cutter. They're using the same MO, and these guys have the same playbook, and you're very sharp and very aware of that, so it makes it easier for me to keep track of explaining it to a jury.
I really appreciate that. And it's like I said, I'm very curious about what's going on in the world, and I remember one thing that Dr. Kleinman said when I got hired was he said, "I would have never hired you as Death Prophet," which, by the way, my teachers, when I was making the movie, because it was just so different from the other student films, everyone was doing commercials or music videos, they were concerned, no one's, you're, dragging your roommates down the hallways and you're killing, you know what I mean? It's like how are you gonna, get a job? And the irony is, happen to be the only one still here that I can tell. I don't know. I learned just how to be more, professional, and to think about how I want to, put myself out there, separating my personal, because I'm always going to do art, I'm always going to create things, and so it's like separating, but just from a business standpoint, just being around Dr. Kleinman's one of those people he doesn't have to even be talking to me. I just being in his presence, listening to the seminar. I love the forensic seminars because other psychoanalysts get to see what I'm seeing, and I'm like, am I crazy, or is this insane? And then I get to hear them discuss it, and it's a good just a reminder that it's all for a good cause, and I believe that 100 years from now, because of the work that we're doing, things will be different. Things will be safer for kids who don't have parents or who go into the foster. I happen to believe in reincarnation. I don't want to be brought back into a world where you can be subjected to some of the cruelties that I've been exposed to. So that's a freaky thing to think about, but I just think that everyone has a role on this planet, whether you're a psychoanalyst, a police officer, or just a videographer, trying to find work. Okay. So, but yeah, man, it's been an amazing experience, and I'm grateful to still have the connection.
Yeah, we have a lot of work in front of us.
Yes, absolutely.
So, tell us about some of the plans you and I are making together, Michael.
Sure. Oh man, so where to begin? Because we have everything that Dr. Kleiman and I are working on, or focusing on, as far as the future is concerned, is mainly preserving Dr. Kleiman's legacy. Video editors, I can't speak for other video editors, but like I just happen to have an access to a blockbuster archive of Dr. Kleiman's, his personal life, his upbringing, but his legacy, So we're working on, we call them video illustrated textbooks, and it's sort of it's a template that we want to use. Oh, that's okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. We'll just cut that part out.
You were saying about the video illustrated textbook.
Yeah, so the video illustrated textbook series is sort of I guess we could call a cookie cutter template for not just R&T but forensic work. So we want to do these video illustrated textbooks that just showcase the successes of R&T training, mainly R&T training, so that other psychoanalysts around the country, and Dr. Kleiman has been doing this for years, but around the world actually can apply reflective network therapy to help traumatized kids all around the world. So we're taking that and also applying it to the forensic work, and making these what my world is called parallel editing sequences, where I'm basically able, like Dr. Kleiman had mentioned earlier, to connect the dots. For example, in foster care, the abuses. Video editor, we're keen observers of patterns, and the types of abuse that were described by multiple victims of foster care, but they're completely different cases. With video editing technology, you can just put them side by side and very quickly make a point to an audience, or to a jury, or to caseworkers. I'm very passionate particularly about in the case of grooming. Predators, have access to education. There's a specific type of predator, that pedophile that targets children at a certain age, and we have videos of the causes and the effects, and all the signs, all the red flags that come along with it. We want these videos to be a part of sex education. We want the kids to watch the videos to see, like, I know someone who's just, because when you hear the stories, there's always like, there was just something not right about that. We talk to kids in assault prevention about the same thing. It's intuition. Where does that hit you when you get when something seems weird or off or not right? It's usually your intuition and something is wrong. So bring that up. So imagine if it was just a part of public school to watch some of the forensic videos that focuses on this type of sexual abuse. We have different categories and make different documentaries for different types of predators. But for this one specifically, I think if girls, before they get into middle school or high school, watch this video and said to give them warning signs, but the teachers and the staff members and the predators that are in the school system will also see the videos, and they'll think twice about it, because they're like, oh shit, they're on to me. Like, what if we had what if it was routine, and you know what I mean? Like, why isn't that like something that the education system doesn't owe? And it's because we can't talk about it. We can't show people the videos, you know, and no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to watch it because, I mean, why would you? But you have to. It's the same thing with the civil rights movement, and you know, people were, you know, videotaping things on their. I mean, the camera is a powerful tool, man, and I love it specifically because, like we were talking about my father. He lives on in the video. You know, I was able to videotape my father before he passed away, and sit him down and ask him questions and hang out with him, and you know, so I have the privilege of going back and re-experiencing that love, and that's because of the video camera. It's like, it's all I do. I videotape everything. I videotape my kung fu workouts, and then I go back and I rewatch, like, just frame by frame. I'm fascinated. I connect to life through the camera. Otherwise, I'm just kind of like really not that interested in too many other things. I don't know what I'd do without my camera, but so. But to me, that's what I want to do with the rest of my life, with my career, is to I want to find a way to showcase these. Not showcase is a terrible word, but for this, but I want people to know, you know, and I think that if we made it just a part of just society, or public school education, foster care, any kind of social services or child protective services, because I don't know, I just, maybe people just can't imagine like some of the things that I'm talking about that Dr. Kleiman and I have.
Well, Michael, I'd like you to take a little credit for some things. For example, you said frame by frame, and I want to remind you that you have helped me to prepare 30-second slices of treatment videos, because we are studying them frame by frame, and about a dozen judges in various universities and colleges are studying your slices of videos. You also have encouraged me to regard the archive as something we should gain permission to use. And we have been successful in gaining permission after permission after permission for educational use, because you have stimulated a dialogue with me, and because I know your talents are available to work with me, and my talents are available to work with you, we're creating something that neither one of us could have created separately.
Right.
And your ambition to use these derivatives, these archives, as an educational tool, I think is very realistic, that we could actually usefully spend my energy and yours in the future to create a wave of change of the kind that I've been talking about with Jessica, that it might be possible to do what happened with hysteria and sexual repression, to bring it out into the open, that maybe we can contribute to bringing cruelty out into the open, like what you called the dark prophet.
Death prophet.
The death prophet. There is something about it. There are a lot of adults really that are going about killing children's souls. They're murdering children's souls. And it's not simply sexual abuse. The children are ruined in more than sexual ways. They're betrayed. They're incapable of having human relations of the kind they would have had before they were betrayed. And the closer the relationship, the worse the betrayal, as in a foster parent's case. So I think we have and you're very clear-minded about it, that those patterns are visible and audible, and they can be understood from our videos more than any other source I know. So I appreciate that you appreciate the opportunity, and I hope you understand that I am grateful to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, there's yeah, you said it too. We have our work cut out for us, because there's just so much. And then, I mean, Dr. Kleiman is still doing forensic cases, but there's just there are videos down there I haven't even seen yet. There's a it's fun. It's a little disturbing sometimes. I mean, the videos can take a lot out of me, but the act of creating, sort of, it's like I'm taking it in and then I'm throwing it, just giving it right back out to the world. But if I don't do that and I just leave them on a terabyte, or some of them aren't even in digital form yet, they're just DV tapes, that I'm just, I don't know, I feel like it's not completed, but, and I respect confidentiality, and I don't want, a lot of these cases are active, so I respect that, but over the course of time, there's just, 7 years is a long time to be doing forensic videos, and I hope to do it for much longer than that. I'm just saying, you go from one video and you're like, wow, that was just the worst thing that I've ever heard. Then you go to another video and it's like, what the, you sort of forget about the previous video, and you go to another and another and another, and it just, the levels of inhumanity, it's overwhelming sometimes, so, but art and being creative is sort of the defense mechanism, which is why I made Death Prophet in the first place. It was my attempt of trying to understand something about myself, but something about the nature of, good and evil and light and darkness. It wasn't just an all-out blood fest. I was trying to tell tell a story, and but I didn't have Dr. Kleiman at the time, and I didn't know anything. I was just sort of going for it, and then when my teachers and staff were telling me not to do it, and change this and doing that, it just just kept. But I guess I have a morbid curiosity about the levels of inhumanity. So I don't know what to do with that. But all I do know that is that I have an opportunity to do something positive, as opposed to complaining about it, or just or glorifying it, or making a horror movie or whatever. You know what I mean? I have to have a way to tell these stories, So, but there is, it's a double-edged sword, because you respect the people that are in the videos, but at the same time it's like you're providing a voice for someone that you can imagine it's very difficult to talk about some of these things. So yeah, so it's been quite a ride.